Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding is provided by a grant from Absolute Care of Westfield, committed to returning the favor to those who spent a lifetime caring for others. Absolute Care is located at 26 Cass Street in Westfield. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Join us live Saturday mornings between 9 and 10 a.m. in Fredonia, Mayville, and Silver Creek. Call in and share a thought or wish someone a happy birthday with Chautauqua County's only live on-air senior program. Reed continues in his 15th year with interesting guests expressing their viewpoints and informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County. A little bit of snow trickling down. It's all pretty, and all the roads have been well plowed by our civic workers who've done such a nice job doing this winter so far. And we have a great show coming up. We've got Doug Richmond, who is a Chautauqua County legislator, who's going to be talking about some of the things we should know about at the county level, not to mention the 9% tax increase. And we will have a lot of fun, and you will have an opportunity to talk to Doug about anything you want if you just call in a certain number. It's 753-JACK, 753-JACK or 753-5225. And anybody who calls in, we'll put you right on the air, and you can tell your story. You can talk about, you can wish somebody happy anniversary, happy birthday, whatever you want. You can give somebody a big pat in the back or a boot in the rear, whatever you feel like. This is your magic carpet into the universe. And this is on the air. It's all over the county. It goes viral almost on the net. You can watch it on several sites. YouTube loads up the show every Monday, so you can watch the show. And it basically builds them up there so you know that you can look at the past program if you wish, because they're all archived. Okay, guys. Lots of things happening around here. Of course, the headlines and all you watch on the corporate-owned television today is the shooting of the Senator Giffords, I guess, down in Tucson, Arizona. And she is doing well for considering the fact she was shot through the head, back to front. So I have a hope. We hope that she'll be okay in the long run. This is not really the way to settle matters. Although it is very hard to unelect a congressman. We know that because only the rich and powerful can run even. But you don't want to start shooting people, especially innocent bystanders, and she is one of those innocents. She had the good nature to go out and meet her constituents on a one-to-one basis at a supermarket, and this nutcase came in and started shooting everybody, including killing a little girl and a judge. What a scene that was for America. We, of course, have the wars going on, and now they're telling us, the leadership, Gates, telling us that the war is going to get worse and a lot more casualties in Afghanistan coming up, and but we're going to win. And when asked how you win, nobody seems to know. The British sure didn't know. They ran them out after years of wasting their children and their money, and the Russians were basically bankrupted by this. And lost thousands of kids, and now we're losing thousands of kids, and we're bankrupt. There's no money for this war. I don't know what the heck is going on in our leadership. in Washington. Of course, everybody questions what's going on, especially the senior citizens who are still getting the message there is no COLA, which was always promised, cost of living increase to cover inflation, because there is no inflation. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge for you. But Congress is still telling us they've got figures to prove there's no inflation, as they laugh up their sleeves at the senior citizens who actually used to believe what their congressman told them. And more seniors are getting into real trouble. You look at the increases in the supermarkets, huge increases, whopping increases. The gas and the oil and everything is going crazy. Even cat food, which they will be eating before long like they do, depression has gone up 20%. My state taxes, 25%. Your insurance, they're running 50. California, 60% increase in your insurance rates. Up to 100 in some places. I was real lucky. Last week I got a letter from my insurance company, I'm only going to go up 20%. And Congress wouldn't even give the seniors a measly $250 to help with this. They had to save it for the rich and the tax cut, I guess. Somebody ought to go down there and examine the heads of these congressmen who are telling us there's no inflation, which is a blatant lie. And no COLA, which was always promised. We're in trouble, seniors, and I've just noticed that the amount of money I get in from my Social Security and my pensions, and this is the same with a lot of seniors, is now even. Used to be I had a little extra money there to use for pleasure. No more. And no inflation, Mr. Powers. We're going to be living in our children's basements, eating cat food. Thank you, Congress, for your kindness and caring for senior and the elderly, the feeble. And I guess I'm violating the rules now. You're not supposed to criticize Congress. But when this is happening to a huge part of our weak and feeble population, it must be examined. All right, we have with us a great guest, as I said, Doug Richmond, and he'll be on shortly. But first of all, we're going to have a minute for senior news, and then we will have the geezer. Now, the geezer, remember, Doug, the geezer is Mort Flexer, and he shoots from the hip. All right. I have a note for you, incidentally. If you want free shots, they're available. Yeah, for anybody out here. There'll be an immunization clinic to offer free adult influenza, tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, that's Tdap, and pneumococcal vaccinations for individuals 19 and older. Clinic will be held at the Falconer Fire Hall, that's 115 Davis Street, on Monday, January 24th, 3 to 7 p.m. You need your shots, you want to get your flu shot, you want to get any shot. They'll give you the works for free. Monday, January 24th, 3 to 7, Falconer Fire Hall. I thank, incidentally, all the people out there who are doing good things for our citizens. That is one of the great things, is you can get your free shots. And seniors, particularly the influenza shot, the flu shot, is a good idea. We have some great, wonderful senior citizen clubs here in this county, and I'm going to mention a couple of them and some of the good things going on. And let me put this stuff aside here. Dunkirk Federated Seniors has a nice setup. They have an old school. They even have a track around the school in the corridors where you can race in the middle of winter. Helen Barone often leads it. She's the vice president over there and gets things going. And God bless those people who work for nothing, who are the officers of our senior groups. I wanted to note that birthday wishes should go out to Korzinski, and members sang happy birthday to her. And Sinclairville has a big bunch over near Dunkirk on the other side. The Sinclairville senior citizens have a luncheon, and as most do, they often ask you to bring a dish to pass and your own silverware. Elaine Palmer-Titus handles the gavel in Sinclairville's crowd. And I wanted to say they did some drawings, which included Irene Wallow, Marge McIntyre, Nellie Sharp, and a lot of other wonderful people. Elections for the next year were held, and Titus will continue to be the club president. The next meeting will be Tuesday, February 8th at noon. So drop around if you want to meet some nice people, especially Charlotte Villa, who will be the one doing a lot of work over there. They always have jingle bells. They sing songs and they sing Jingle Bells. Well, it's quite appropriate. Incidentally, don't forget there's going to be the sleigh rides over Chautauqua coming up very soon. I don't quite know the date, but I'm sure somebody will give it to me. The Sheridan Happy Seniors are another crowd over there. Incidentally, yeah, I just got a caller. The sleigh rides start this weekend. So get over to Chautauqua and have some real fun. It's a great deal, very inexpensive, and you get to drive around the area, and somebody will usually tell you what's going on. Sometimes they're not sure themselves, but it's kind of fun. Ellen Suttle is the president over there at the Sheridan Happy Seniors, and she says that the minutes of the Christmas party were read, and they haven't got any trips planned for the next 3 months. It's going to be just too cold for that nonsense. But they do have great trips, you know. I did want to mention they do cancel meetings when school is closed, so most groups do, so keep an eye on that. I wanted to also mention the January birthdays for Vera Bill and Josephine Wilcox. And the next meeting, if you want to get over there, Sheridan Happy Seniors, they have their own song. I'm going to have them come in here and sing it. January 21st. Mount Carmel Social Club, they have quite a bunch over there. Tampu is forever, I guess. The president, it goes on and on. They had a great Christmas party and New Year's celebration. And they have a new microwave. You know, that's a very important part of any group. They're going to have a soup luncheon January 19th. You get a chance to come over and meet everybody. And you'll meet Dennis Borowski, who's doing the honors there. Bingo was called, as always. Silver Creek Seniors, they got two clubs over there, but they have a beautiful clubhouse there for one of them. And that's on Route 20 and Route 5, about where they meet. Ed Newman is the president. Get in touch with him if you want to, and get involved. They have a great crowd, and they have that, as I say, that clubhouse is unbelievable. They're going to say hello over there to Guy and Corky Patton. New members, very important. Next meeting, January 18th, coming up very soon. Mayville, what a bunch they have there. Louis Risher and Eleanor Cornelius and Dolly Gilbert and everything help set up the tables and the coffee, and they always have luncheon over there. And often the club or somebody provides the main course, and everybody brings a dish to pass in their own silver. And what a bunch of casseroles and desserts you will find there. They're going to, I don't know, I guess I'll keep your brain active, they're telling us. It's very important. Play cards or anything. Play games online. I love to play, I love crossword puzzles. I think they're the greatest over there. That keeps your brain working somehow. Mine isn't working very well. You know, when you reach your 72nd year of life on this earth, you start forgetting, because I've been told by the doctors that your brain is so crammed with stuff that you haven't got room for anymore. And so if you get something else in, you've got to throw something out. And that's what happens. It's kind of helter-skelter. There's no particular lineup for what goes out. Except you start trying to think of your wife's name. And that's one of the things that went out. Next meeting, January 20th in Mayville. Don't miss it. What a bunch over there. I have more news. Nope, they're telling me news time is over. I am finished. It's Caputo. So we'll have a little meditation period of peace and quiet. Give yourself some peace and quiet every single day of your life, because it'll decrease your blood pressure considerably. You'll live a lot longer, and you'll be happier. Just clear your mind of all the clutter and craziness going on around you and concentrate on something beautiful. We have a little lighthouse here that was given to us by our previous senator, a couple of senators ago. And it's just beautiful. It's kind of fog-ridden here, and you see it's behind the museum if you've never seen it, down at the foot of the hill in Mayville. This is for you guys. Remember, you're number one in the whole wide universe. Professor, the geezer. What do you got, Mort?
Maybe a headache, but we'll go from there. Yeah, you know, Reed, you probably realize that this is one of the best programs on local TV in that it gives our listeners free and easy access to the show. If you got something bugging you, for God's sake, express it. Don't get a headache. Call in, give Reed a hard time. Really, this program is your program. It is wide open. Reed will take your questions. He will respond to them. Our guests will take your questions. They will respond to them. It is your program. Be part of it. Lately, I don't know, it's gotten quiet. We get so darn few calls. And yet, when I meet people on the street, they tell me, oh gosh, wonderful show. But you know, there's this going on or that going on. We don't hear anything about it. I say, call in. But for heaven's sake, it is easy. You are welcome. You will not get your feelings hurt. You'll feel 10 pounds lighter when you get that problem off your mind. And it helps us, frankly, too. It improves the quality of our show when we get out to you those subjects in which you are most interested. So please, folks, it's your show. Take advantage of it. Call in. Thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Mort. Well said. 753-JACK. That's not hard to remember. Like your phone, Jack. 753-JACK, and you're on the air, and you can talk to anybody you wish. Here's your county legislator, Doug Richmond, who is going to be on the air now for the next 44 minutes, and he will have an opportunity to give you whatever information you want. You can call him and ask him about things. You know, many items come up in the budget that which you're interested in and should be involved in. All right, here we go. With no further ado, good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Reed.
Doug Richmond is going to turn and face the camera because he's actually got 3 million people watching him right now between the tube. Although the callers, the rule of thumb for callers on television, unless you're giving away a bundle of money, is 1 call for every 10,000 viewers. And a lot of people watch this down through the week. So get in there, guys. Start calling. The ones that are here, have your daughter, uncle, cousin, friends, you know, have them all call in. Have Crosscut call in. You know, he's always worth it. He's always good on the air.
He is, yes.
Doing the job now. He's the boss, right?
Yes, he's the chairman, doing a super job.
Yeah. Well, I love his John. I'm just a farmer up on the hill, you know, dairy cow.
Yes,
farmer.
yep. That's his profession.
But he's sharp. He's sharp. Okay, guys. Doug, you first of all, a little background. Where were you raised? Born and raised and everything.
I'm from Alfred, New York. That's
Alfred.
my hometown.
Right. They for years have been designing urinals in Alfred.
They have.
At the school.
Yeah. At the Ceramic College.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My daughter graduated from school up there with her
very good
2-year degree, and it's a beautiful part of the world.
When I left there, the permanent population of Alfred was about 1,000. The school population was over 5,000. So the multiple colleges there kind of control the community.
Right. Well, they have 2 colleges there. They have SUNY Alfred, and then they also
Alfred University. There's a nursing school there within the university as well.
Right. My daughter attended the nursing school. Then you went to, did you go to college for a while?
I went to Williamsport Tech in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Took up the profession of pattern making.
Now, what is pattern making?
Pattern making is a wood trade.
Oh, it's wood trade.
And basically it's the patterns that are made to make the castings and the molds in the foundries. Very interesting, very technical wood trade.
You have to be a pretty good draftsman, I'll bet.
That's part of the requirement, to be well familiar with all of that.
And then somehow the other you appeared in Westfield. What took you to Westfield?
Nationwide Insurance.
Nationwide Insurance.
Ended up through a series of events, going out on blind faith, and became a nationwide insurance agent, came to Westfield in their behalf, and that was in 1972, and I've been here ever since.
Are you still selling insurance?
No.
You retired?
It's been 6 years since I retired.
And you have a wonderful collection. Can I mention it?
You may.
You have the most gorgeous collection of guns, rifles, and shotguns, right?
That's
It's
true.
incredible. Like many people in our area.
That is true.
And you have a lot of antiques, right?
A few, yes.
Yeah, and
I think everyone in Westfield has antiques.
Right, and you have a very fine burglar device on your house, and you are well armed.
Most certainly. Yes. Yep, definitely.
As many people these days do. My cousin has a sign in front that says, we are protected by a 357 Magnum, or 358 Magnum, I guess. Well, now, then you're entry into politics now. Were you the mayor first, or usually
No,
you work your way up?
I was never the mayor. I was on the Westfield Town Board for 10 years before I ended up in the county. Prior to the town board, I was the chairman of the Barcelona Harbor Commission through the period of time when we did our break wall projects and whatnot. And
We can thank Dan Reed for that.
Yes,
I'm sure it's the last
excellent benefit to the community.
Yeah, it's the last
and
congressman
county.
we'll ever see, I'm sure, because now we're the vice president at the time clumped us in with Erie County, and forget it, 2 million voters, or I don't know how many.
It's becoming more and more difficult
It's
for us to have a
impossible.
local
Impossible.
individual in our representation.
Yeah, there's no way to get to Congress through Chautauqua County, that's for sure. Not when you have, for the nominations, you have, what is it, what they have about, I guess, they used to have 2 million in Buffalo, but they have probably at least 1.8 million, and these, this is...
It's in the neighborhood of 1 million, as I understand.
Is it down to 1
the
million?
Population.
Of course,
Yes.
we're down to, well, last I heard it was 140,000 in Chautauqua County, but...
Well, you hear a variety of opinions, and we're going to know exactly what those figures are, community by community, here within the next probably 3 months at most.
Right, and then when we do get the new census, they will cut back on some of the legislators, right?
That's something that constantly comes to the table. I do believe that there will be a reduction in legislators. It's going to cause quite a political positioning, in my observation, in redistricting the county. I have some personal concerns about that.
Like what?
Well, one of my observations is that it's important for us as a county to have representation from all walks of life. We need the individuals that are from the blue collar, the working families, the white collar. We need all walks. We need the farmers. We need the industrial people. We need the teaching society. We do occasionally have the legal society, attorneys involved in the legislature. We do have an attorney at this point who is a legislator. We also have a medical doctor who's a legislator. We need all of these walks of lives. My concern is that the more we shrink the size of the legislature, the greater our possible loss of fair representation from the entire public will occur. I think that perhaps we are moving in a direction in that conversation so that we will have basically financially independent and retired individuals serving us as our legislators. There have been a number of situations that have occurred over the years in my tenure where in the 12th hour of intending to make a change in our society, something came to the forefront because of the number of legislators we have, indicating, gee, we never thought of such and such. And I have felt that really 25 legislators have been doing quite a fair job to us. One of the controversies in that respect is the cost. I think the cost is very minimal when you look at the whole picture. For example, what you folks are paying me as your legislator at this point is 10/thousandths of a penny on $1,000 of tax
That's
assessment.
only $100,000.
Not to me.
Not to you? How much does the average legislator make?
We
It's not
make
a lot.
$9,000 a year.
9,000. You put in an awful lot of time for that, I know.
There is, you will find within the 25 legislators, we last year had to formally identify what hours we were spending as legislators. And you will find that we had some spending as little as maybe 3 hours a week, and we had others spending over 20 hours a week. So there is a broad range, and I think it's necessary and important to have a number of legislators because of that. When you look at the small reimbursement that we receive, which has not changed in my entire tenure, I really don't know when the $9,000 a year was set, but that's what it was in 2001. That's what it is today.
And inflation's eating that. Do you get
It
health care
does.
out of that?
We do not.
You don't even get health care. Oh, used to, but I think they changed that recently.
That has been changed.
Yeah.
I personally never did have health care through
You had
it. It
your
was
own
a matter
policy.
of choice,
Yeah.
and I chose not to do that.
The county legislature, how long have they had 25 members?
As I understand, when it was the Board of Supervisors, there was 34 or 35 supervisors that represented the entire county. And I believe it was around 1970 or so when the decision was made to go to legislators within this county. And I believe it was set at 25 at that time.
How's unemployment in the county?
Unemployment in the county is not as bad as it is nationally, as a general rule, but we do have our unemployment issues and concerns. I think that we are not in the struggles that many other areas are.
Grapes, how are they doing?
Grapes last year, I think, did fantastic. From all grape farmers that I spoke with, they seemed to be satisfied with their success last year. Actually, it's the first year I can remember where there was not a number of frustrations and difficulties being identified by the grape farmers.
Well, you have a lot of grape farmers in your district. I mean, you're the heart of the grape
We
belt.
do. And it's interesting, you speak about the grape farmers. As I understand it, the town of Westfield is the best place in the world to grow Concord grapes. It has formally been identified in that respect. We have, I believe, we are the second or third largest grape producing county in the United States. However, when we look at that, in reference to the milk production of Chautauqua County, we are producing more milk in Chautauqua County in commodity value than we are grapes,
Yeah,
which is quite
As
interesting.
mentioned before, one of the underground notes is that the largest cash crop in the county is up in the hills. It's marijuana.
I have heard that.
There's a lot of that growing up there.
I have not witnessed that myself.
Well, I haven't
Many have
explored it
said
either.
that.
I will confess, a long time ago, I saw a very large crop of it, but I was about to report it. It disappeared. We got a couple of callers, Doug. What do you want to say?
Very good.
Hey, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's up?
Well, other than it's snowing pretty bad down here in Westfield.
What?
Blowing
I just
snow.
told him it's spring down there.
Well, it's changed.
It's Mayville. We're getting a lot of snow. I can tell you that right now.
Well, it's blowing pretty good. It's very, very fine snow, but it's blowing pretty good.
Well, we're going to get our foot. That's for sure.
And I'd like to say hello to Mr. and Mrs. B. And I also have a question for your guest.
Sure. Go ahead.
Earlier, he mentioned that he tries to reach out to all different segments of his constituency.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I wondered how he defines different segments of his constituency and how he reaches out to each different one. I mean, is there a different way to reach out to this one or as opposed to that one, as opposed to that one? That's my question.
Okay. I've always had what I call an open door policy in Westfield. I still maintain an office on Main Street in Westfield where my insurance office was. I call that my legislature office, and I'm always pleased to visit with any individual in the community and outside of the community of any of their concerns or questions or thoughts. I do not routinely put out newsletters. I don't believe that many legislators do that. But I'm always looking for opinions from everyone in our area.
There you go, caller.
Well, I'm glad he doesn't put out the things that he just mentioned, the papers, because as I understand it, there's a legislator up in Buffalo that is trying supposedly to cut expenses, that has just put out a paper explaining some of his policies, I guess you might say. And in that paper, his name is mentioned 300 times, supposedly. I have not actually seen it, but this was a news report I read. And so, I kind of think that's kind of broadcasting rather than trying to, and it cost, I think, $25,000 to put out this paper for it was in Erie County. But anyhow, I don't know if it went statewide or not. I'm really not sure about that. So I'm glad he's not doing that. However, that still didn't really answer my question, in that you reach out to, that's people, getting hold of you and so forth, but how do you actually reach out to your constituency other than waiting for them to call you or get hold of you?
Well, I do circulate around the community in various organizations and whatnot, and have a continual contact with a great number of people. It's not my habit to go door to door and asking people what their thoughts or concerns are.
In other words, though, but I understand that you belong to certain organizations and so forth, such as I'm assuming the ones that the business people run in town, Rotary and things like that. But I'm wondering how you reach out to your poorer constituency that often doesn't either have the knowledge or the voice to express their concerns and their needs.
Well, I did come to know a lot of those folks, I guess, that you might be identifying to in my recent business of insurance over the years, and would spend quite a lot of time listening to their concerns and thoughts. And I do still have conversations with a number of those individuals through the normal course of routine business and stopping at my office at this point in time and whatnot as they stop in. And I try to be very much aware of their concerns. This is one of the reasons that I am not overly excited about decreasing the number of our legislators tremendously, because I think that in shrinking our number of legislators, that's the first segment of our population that's going to drop off the radar screen.
And how would that, because there are fewer, how would that
Well, what
affect
that will
just
be
one,
is
one particular segment of the population? I would think if it was going to affect it all, it would affect the whole population.
well, I think our lower income segment of our society is always it's the segment that is struggling most in our society financially. And as we lose the consciousness of that segment in shrinking our legislature body to the point where we have financially independent and retired people exclusively serving us, not that that will happen, but I'm concerned that it might happen, that just knowing from my experiences the way most of the rhetoric goes when the legislative bodies, they are the ones that are going to, again, be underserved to a great degree.
Well, I find that's not more how many people there are, but which persuasion politically the people that are running the show are, because, I mean, there are certain political parties that are more in favor of programs for people that are in the lower incomes, and then there's other ones that feel that we're overtaxed at this point and can't afford to have the programs. And so I noticed that most of the first programs that we're talking about cutting, because this is federally, that we're talking about cutting, affect the lower income people.
That is true. For example, one of the debates that came to a head in the 12th hour this last year in our budget was to actually eliminate about 500,000 meals a year in the senior citizen Meals on Wheels program. in attempting to further balance our budget without having as much of a tax increase. You have encountered, all of you folks who I'm sure have just received your town and county taxes and see that things have gone up this year. It's interesting in looking at those figures. This is the first time in several years that you have actually experienced a tax increase. And if I may divert to a couple of notes that I brought with me today on that exact same topic, is that when Greg Edwards became our county executive, we had a county tax of $9.98 per thousand. We have had a continued slide downward in that tax through last year when it hit $8.23 a thousand, and this year it's at $8.92. The highest tax in the records that I have acquired was a little over $12 a thousand, and we have bounced around from that figure down in recent times to actually last year was the lowest figure that we have had in quite some time. One of the things that drives this, unfortunately, is our Medicaid expenses. Medicaid expenses, from what I can find, seem to double about every 10 years. We are now about $30 million a year in our personal responsibility for the Medicaid expenses. There's nothing at all that we can do as
I
legislators
suppose we can let the
about
people
that.
die. I mean,
Well,
that's been suggested. Just, cut them.
I don't think that's the interest of the legislators.
I
and
don't either.
It's not the
I
interest
was
of
being
the
a little bit
state.
facetious on that.
Yes, and I have heard those conversations too, that we should withdraw some of the medical benefits in that segment, but that's not my personal opinion.
We do have the Cadillac, they claim, of all
We do,
Medicaid,
and,
which incidentally, we're only one of two states where the local county is saddled with these, half the expense of the state.
We are the only state in the nation, from what I understand, that in many facets of our Medicaid programs are responsible for 25% of those expenses.
Which is outrageous.
One of the other things that is surprising and alarming to me in the Medicaid side of things is that by federal law, the state of New York is required to pay 50% of the Medicaid costs as a state. By federal law, the state of Pennsylvania pays 35%. We constantly are seeing references between us in Chautauqua County and the folks right over the border in Pennsylvania of their expenses, their taxes and whatnot. And that is a significant difference between the two states.
How did the state of Pennsylvania manage to get it at 35% and we're at 50%?
From what I have been told, when the Medicaid program was set up by the federal government, they looked at a calculation of wealth, state by state, and they established a sliding scale of a maximum of 50% to 3 states in the nation, and I believe it's New York State, California, and I think Texas.
Probably. Right.
There's a
However, that may be true, but as our tax base goes, just because you have more money, there's a lot more loopholes available to you, and you don't pay any more tax than the average Joe. So therefore, our tax revenue is not 50%, should not be at 50% compared to other states. What
And
we
that's-
actually bring in taxes per capita.
Caller, we got another call, so we're going to have to cut you short.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's been most interesting.
Well, thank you for the call,
calling.
and send me a $5, send me a stamped envelope. $5 will come back to you in a certificate for the
Good investment. Thank you very much.
for the Lakeview.
Good trade. Thank you very much.
Okay, Lakeview is a nice little restaurant at the foot of the hill. They give you a fish, so you can't believe. And they have a salad bar. I counted over, I think over 25 different items in it. It's got everything you dreamed of in a salad bar. And I'm big on salad bars. And Roy Rogers had the best one I ever met before. But this beats it. We're sitting with Doug Richmond. He is our county legislator, one of them. And what is the district you serve?
It's The Westfield district primarily, and the northern edge of the town of Ripley. It's the District 22 as it is known. I think that very few people in our county can identify by numbers where legislators are from.
Yeah, that general area though, down that little corner, right?
Yes.
And you represent a lot of grapes.
We do, and it's in all of New York State. Agriculture is the #1 business. Tourism is #2. We need to pay serious attention to our farming community.
Yes, indeed. Grapes, Grape Center. We have a grape center in Westfield now, don't we? Have some sort?
It always
What is
has
that?
been, from what I understand.
Kathy Young
as far
put
as
some dough into it. I know, $1 million.
well,
or
that's going to be a heritage grape center.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be a benefit to all of us in the tourism side of things, especially in my observation too.
Well, how will that happen?
Well, it's going to be designed into a bit of a museum, as I understand it, and it will be a destination opportunity for people who visit this area. Of course, with tourism being our #2 business in the county, it's going to, I think, cement together the agricultural area, especially the grapes and the wine industries. Wineries seem to be increasing in number in Chautauqua County along the Lake Erie shoreline, which I think is a great benefit to our prosperity.
Where is this going to be located?
It's located just west of Westfield, probably a mile out of town. It's the old Ford garage. It has been completely renovated at this point in time, and there will be further developments
That's
there
across
in the near future.
Pretty much across from the nursery out there, isn't it?
It is the Westfield
I saw
nursery.
the renovations. Man, fantastic work going on. I thought they were building a restaurant there.
It's going to be a very fine facility for our area, and I compliment all of the folks that have dedicated their time and efforts to it.
Especially Kathy Young. She brought in some books there, didn't she?
She was our state representative that found the biggest chunk of dollars to have this happen.
Heritage, grape
Heritage
heritage. Sounds good.
Museum.
Museum, whatever. Maybe they'll have those old bicycles that people used
You
to
never
take.
know.
They put a bike tire, the front end of a bike, and they put a box on top. And I still remember that. You go down with these little snippers and snip the grapes,
Yes.
and you got paid 50 cents a box or 25 cents a box, depending on how long ago it was. And that's long gone. They've got these big monster robots that go down and shake 'em.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. I hear some of the grape farmers aren't even trimming anymore. They just go, not selectively trimming, they just go down and whack off some of the canes. That's it.
They have a power trimmer machine. I have seen those machines work and visited with farmers who are using them. They seem to go back to the official hand trimming. Every once in a while, I think they've worked out some sort of a technique that works best for them. Some years they can use the machine trimmers, and but so that their vines stay in best shape, they do go back and hand trim.
Yeah, tying them. I see some farmers aren't even tying the grapes anymore. Used to be a big deal.
That is true. There is some tying still that goes on, and it's what each farmer has found works best for them.
Now times change. Now tell me, we had a guy who disappeared. Used to be our county executive, and he just disappeared for years. Suddenly popped up, and now he's our assemblyman, Andy Goodell. What do you think of him?
I personally have great respect for Andy Goodell, and
We all do, but-
I think that he is going to represent us very well. I do have to acknowledge that the individual he has replaced, Bill Parmett, served us very well. I personally had some differences of opinion with Mr. Parmett, as probably people have differences of opinion with me.
Over taxes, no doubt.
But
The state tax.
he represented us very well for many, many years, and we now have a new state assemblyman by Andy Goodell, and I am sure that Andy is going to represent us to the best of his ability and beyond.
A bit of trivia is Andy is a Girl Scout.
Okay.
He was made an honorary Girl Scout, and he did a lot of work for the Girl Scouts, and he was my first guest that I ever
That's
had
very
when I moved back
interesting.
up here.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
when I was on WDOE, he was my first guest. He was quite loquacious then, and I had him on very recently, and he's still the same. And he's going to do a good job, I'm sure. Now, I wanted to ask about, such trivial things. The deer crossing signs. Now, we have a deer crossing sign every 50 feet, I think, up here in Chautauqua County. Or anyway, you see an awful lot of them. And the deer don't read them and pay any attention to them at all. And most people don't slow down. They don't care because they figure it's hit and miss anyway. So why do they spend $14 million a year on deer crossing signs?
Well, probably what has happened is it has been identified somewhere within the highway records that there seems to be a higher percentage of deer accidents in various areas, I'm sure just because of the way the deer run and with their natural trails. So they have put up signs in an attempt to help people be a little bit more alert in those areas. One of the things that I found quite interesting is, if I recall correctly, the hunter's harvest of deer in the state of New York is in the neighborhood of 200,000 deer a year. I'm sorry, 250,000. And the harvest of deer by vehicles is in the neighborhood of 200,000.
So the cars are about even with the hunters.
Yes. I have often called our roads man-made shooting lanes and our cars human-driven projectiles.
Well, I noticed that the insurance companies are certainly the greatest supporters of a doe season. Get more deer, get them off the road.
Yes. I think that our conservation department is managing our deer herd probably as good, if not better, than they ever have. There is always controversy about having fewer deer. I personally think there are fewer deer today than there used to be in my personal hunting experiences, but that's something that can be debated forever.
Ryan kind of reminds me of the joke. Guy gets on a bus and he says, "Aren't you Albert Einstein?" And the guy says, "Yeah, I am, as a matter of fact." He says, "Well, gee, I want to talk with you. What can we talk about?" And Einstein says, "Well, what's your level of education?" He says, "Well, I have a master's degree from college." And Einstein starts talking to him. He says, "Well, we'll talk about quantum mechanics then." And they chatter away, and eventually the guy gets off. Another guy comes out and says, "You're Einstein." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, can we have a conversation?" And Einstein says, "What's your level?" He says, "Of education." And he says, "Well, I graduated from high school." He says, "Well, fine, we'll talk about space and planets and things." And they talk a little, gets off. Another guy comes on, says, "What's your education?" when he wants to talk to him. And he says, "Well, I made it up through 8th grade, but not too much further." And Einstein thinks a minute, and he says, "Okay, did you get your deer?" I know you've heard that, because I tell it every time you're here. Did you get your deer this year?
I did not.
You did not?
Did you?
I didn't actually go chasing one this year. I gave up deer hunting probably 30 years ago, but I have a cabin up on a little piece of property, and occasionally I'll go up on opening day and I get the fire going, and I cut with a chainsaw. I cut windows all the way around it so that you can see out from all directions, and I'm just hoping a deer will come along, and then I'll bag my deer, but I haven't had such good fortune.
Well, it sounds like you got an excellent deer stand in any event. Comfortable,
Well,
warm.
actually, one of the best deer stands was built by an interloper. He just walked down the property and put up a deer stand up in a tree. We all use it. And of course, deer stands are a big hazard to landowners, because eventually they break down. Some guy goes up there, falls down, a shotgun goes off and shoots him in the ass or whatever, and he sues the hell out of you.
Well, in my observation, people hunting on deer stands has become very popular.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And in one of my other observations is that perhaps it is one of the safest ways to hunt, because your bullet does not go that far if you're shooting downwards, and you don't have the projectile distance that a lot of folks have great concern about.
Which reminds me, Chautauqua County, the state passed a law permitting the use of rifles rather than shotguns, which are much more accurate. And Chautauqua County is one of those counties that opted out. We can't use a rifle.
This is true, and I have been on that venture for several years. I have attempted to get my fellow legislators behind that movement, And I tried again this last year, and I did not get a majority of legislators to support that interest. We were looking at an opportunity similar to what I believe Erie, Pennsylvania has as a county, where shotguns would continue to be allowed on exclusively basically north of Route 20, and then rifles would be allowed in the remainder of the county. But that has not happened yet. I do go back to Allegheny County every year to hunt with family. Allegheny County has rifle season.
Yeah,
and
most of them do.
It's been within the last maybe 6 years or so that has happened. My observation back there was that in the first year, probably 80% of folks were still hunting with shotguns, and today probably 90% of folks are hunting with rifles.
Of course, you can use a pistol anyway.
Yes,
And with a long barrel.
I have used a pistol ever since they made it legal for deer hunting, and I have shot a number of deer in that manner.
Great. We have a call. Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning, Mort. Good morning, Doug. It's
And
great
and good morning, Reed.
Didn't I say Reed?
You said more.
Oh, God.
Look, I realize you're getting kind of old, but you're nowhere near as old as that old man you live with. I mean,
I'm sorry. Good morning, Reed. I guess I took to heart what you were saying about the chambers of the brain. So, well, I'm enjoying the show, and I want to call and remind people of the services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. I have the Senior Employment Program, plus we have computer training, which is going on in Westfield and Fredonia and Jamestown. Patterson Library in Westfield. It's free. It's for people who have never used a computer. They feel very comfortable. The peer coach spends time with them. They go on the website, and they work at their own pace. And we have trained over 300 people so far.
how many people don't know how to use a computer now?
I don't know, but
I've never met anybody.
I think there are some people that still are a little shy about going to it.
Well, a lot of seniors use computers because they use the email for their friends and their family.
Yes.
And they go into the chat rooms and they talk with other people who have the same problems. And it seems to me that the computer is the best friend of somebody who's alone at home, too.
It is really terrific. The fastest rising population for computer training is the 60-plus age group.
Yeah. And most of them learn from their grandchildren.
Yeah.
If you have a problem, if I have a problem, I call one of my grandchildren over,
Right.
or at least one of my kids anyway.
Right. And we just opened up 2 new training sites, one in Salamanca with the Nation and another in Irving. So we're very pleased with that. We've got 6 computer training sites now.
I see there's a village out behind your house, out on the ice.
Oh, yes, yes.
She lives in Chautauqua.
Very good. Yes,
ever meet
I'm
Doug
aware of
Spalding?
that. I have, yes.
He's a
Very
sweet old
fine
man.
folks.
He rides around on his little buddy, and he's just, oh, geez. And you know, he can get in shortly free. When you're
I
90,
think he's gotta wait.
when you're 90, you get in free. You know
He's
that?
got quite a few years yet.
Oh, he makes her say that, you know.
Quite a few years.
Yeah.
And the sleigh rides are going on.
Yes, I just announced them. Now, what's the cost? I was told they're almost free.
Well, they're very inexpensive. I have to find out what they charge. And it is very inexpensive.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And you get a little sightseeing tour when you wander around.
The drivers know a lot about Chautauqua. And they're on Saturday and Sunday. I believe it will be going on through February.
All day
They
long? Saturday, Sunday, all day long? Or
No, from 12 until 4.
12 to 4, every Saturday?
I think it's 12 or 1
every
to 4.
Sunday for the next, 2-3 weeks, eh?
Through the end of February.
Oh, my
They
goodness.
they were
6 weeks.
had the rides last week also. I saw the horses, and I believe the week before. But I believe this weekend, the Sunday, is going to be the big sleigh rally, the competition, which is very beautiful. People come from all over with their antique sleighs and their beautiful horses.
Yeah, it sounds like a fabulous. When is this? This is coming Sunday.
I believe it's this coming Sunday
At Chautauqua.
at Chautauqua.
Excuse me.
And that starts in the morning. If you want to see the horses, they start bringing them in. And if you want to see them riding around, it's good to start watching at about 10 o'clock because they take their sleighs down the various streets.
Sounds wonderful.
It is.
Well, thank you very much, and you have a beautiful day, and my best to your elderly husband.
Well, I guess we're all seniors, aren't we? This is
Oh,
senior
yes.
report.
Well, actually, you're over 50. AARP says you're senior, although AARP is pretty silent on the lack of cola. All I see is a bunch of ads for insurance. I think they're an insurance company.
COLA
Yeah,
is, huh?
prices are going up, but
AARP.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
we need to contact our federal representatives, our congressmen.
Well, Higgins actually voted for the 250, but
Yes, he and someone else co-sponsored the bill.
yeah, he had a bunch. But how dare they? Just how dare they?
Yes.
How dare they?
We're
Claiming
seniors,
there's no
yeah.
inflation. There's 4% inflation that they admit to right now in food and gas and everything when they have their funny figures, you know, the phony federal figures.
I think gas is now $3.25 a gallon,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and food's jumping like but 20 to 40%. My insurance went up 20%. Your county taxes went up 9%. State taxes 25%. They're telling us we have no need for a COLA. We were promised. Give me a break. They're still.
Yeah, well, contact them. I'm almost tempted to contact a few other ones outside of our district, but
Right.
we need to contact our representatives.
Well, tell them you're getting sick of the cat food.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. See you later. Thanks a lot.
Have a great week.
Linda
Thank you.
Spalding.
Yes, Linda.
Doug Richmond, our county legislator. Doug, we're kind of winding down here now. Is there anything in particular you wanted to comment on or talk about that I haven't hit?
Maybe the only other thing that would identify some interest to the folks is that I am currently the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, among a number of other ventures. One of the things that we are looking at this point in time is a way to technically decrease our jail population of county tenants. And it's our observation that if we can reduce the number of our county inmates, we can use those beds for the federal inmates where we make a profit. And a noticeable amount of the income that comes to the Sheriff's Department in that budget is because of the federal inmate procedure. And we're looking at possibly putting in the City of Jamestown's court a public defender representative and a district attorney representative and a probation department representative, so that as individuals come into that court, they can immediately be judged and processed in a manner that hopefully will prevent them from taking up space in our jail, where these folks will sit sometimes for much longer than any of us would prefer. This is dealing exclusively with the nonviolent crime areas, and it's our feeling that perhaps we can actually find a financial benefit to our taxpayers of this county in doing this.
We're out of time. 30 seconds to wrap up.
Well, folks, once again, it's been a pleasure being here, visiting with all of you. I do want to identify that I always welcome your calls. I'm in the phone book. I welcome your visits. When you stop by the office, I'm not in the office as much as I used to be. However, if I know that you'd like to meet with me, I would very much appreciate that. And
Right in the middle of Main Street, right
Yes.
On the north side, across from
the phone company,
phone
directly
company.
across from the phone company.
Doug Richmond. Thank you for giving your time to our
You're welcome.
viewers. And I'm sorry, caller, we ran out of time. Doug will be back. You can ask him or just drop by his office.
Very good.
Our last caller didn't get in. I want to thank special people, Chuck Kelsey. I want to thank Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Chris Maramaker, Mort Flexer, Randy Bird, Jeff Zook, and Don Zenz. People doing the job, making this program happen, and you are the best part of the program. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the views. Get out there and have a beautiful day. Maybe do a little skiing or a little bit of sledding. We have the advantage here. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.